there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hey, this is Bryan Giles from Red Fang, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews, and today it's an honor and a very huge privilege to have guitarist and vocals Bryan Giles of Red Fang. Red Fang returned with their highly anticipated new album, Arrows, which is out now via Relapse Records, their first album in 5 years, and it's hard to believe, 5 years. This is the follow-up to 2016's Only Ghosts album. Everyone's favorite beer-crushing, zombie-killing, air guitar contest judging metal heroes are back in action, and you want to check out their singles, Arrows, Why. So, Bryan, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad to have you on here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So how you been doing, man, and how excited are you guys to get back out on the road soon and do some touring now?
Oh, I've been good. I think everyone felt fucking weird as shit. I felt like I was on planet Mars for a while, but that's okay. I think, I'm not playing any violins for me, but it is really, it's definitely, I forgot how much I missed, the band and everything. I was just sort of got into autopilot, like, let's all get through this. But now that we got the new record coming out and doing music videos and getting set for a tour, it's exciting. I was like, oh man, I went out for a month in mid-October to mid-November, support the record in the States. And yeah, man, touring again. Who knew?
I don't mean to make fun of COVID or anybody, because I know we lost people during COVID, but it makes me feel like people now have to readapt to what it used to be like getting out in association with people.
Oh yeah, man. Forget playing a show. It's just how do you say hello these days?
Yeah. Okay.
Are we elbow bumping? Are we air hugging? What are we doing?
Yeah. So this is Red Fang's 5th album. How does it feel to have a new album in the Red Fang music library, man? How good does it feel to finally have another one in there?
Oh, it feels fantastic. This record was set to release last May, so May 2020, and so the records were printed. It was ready to rumble, but and then the world shit the bed, and we just decided people were going to spend their money on toilet paper, not records. So we just we shelved it for a year, and I've been chomping at the bit for people to hear it. We completed it in late summer, early fall of 2019. So it's been in our back pocket for a long damn time.
Speaking of that, were these new songs that you guys created, or were these songs that had already been written, or are these all brand new songs on this album? Because I know some mix and match. What did you guys do on this one?
This is 95% new. The first track, Take It Back, existed in demo form for several years, but it didn't really occur to me that we would record it. But anyway, so we did, and that's cool. I'm proud of that. And then Aaron wrote the Why when in like the 90s. So he had a working version of that song in the 90s, way before Red Fang was even an idea. And then so we sort of revived it maybe 6-7 years ago for a project for there's a Fraggle Rock compilation out, and so we adapted some of their lyrics to that song, and the music on that song came out on Fraggle Rock. But I don't know if anybody really noticed it that kind of follows our band. Maybe there's people who love furry puppets who know about that song. But anyway, so that's the third iteration, is the one that's on the album. But now it has lyrics of its very own. It's become its own song. It only took 25 years.
How can you not like Fraggle Rock, man? You got your...
Oh, I love Fraggle Rock.
Oh, my
I
God.
mean, when I was a kid, that was in the, late 80s.
Yeah, I used to watch it all the time. I love Transformers, the old school Transformers. I'm talking about like the 80s Transformers.
Yeah.
He-Man, loved He-Man. That's me personally. Loved that stuff.
Yeah, man, Castle Grayskull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. If your bills come to Castle Grayskull, you know you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm gonna install satellite service at Castle Grayskull over there.
Yeah. Not it. I'm about to retire. I'm not installing cable up there.
You guys sat on this album for a long time. Were you guys anxious to get this out, or did you guys keep getting held back to put it out, or did you guys say, fuck it, we got to put this out soon?
I thought maybe it would come out sometime in later 2020. Part of me thought, well, maybe that's what people need is a new record. While we can't go do anything, but our manager and our label kind of were leaning towards waiting until we could support it. I think that a band like ours, we're a working band. We need if the record's gonna have an impact or get sell it, we're gonna have to be out there selling it off our backs. Some big pop artists or something, maybe they can just drop a single and everyone buys it because of course they do. But we need to. So that was the thought process, was we're going to wait until we can start to tour on it. But here we are. It's released in June, and we're not really going to be able to hit the road until October. But it all seemed to work out, and I'm fine with it. It's a lot easier to say now that it's out. If you asked me that like 3 months ago, I'd be like, "Oh, brother, come on, let's release it."
Lots of bands did release their stuff just to get it out there to stay relevant, and that's sad nowadays because it's like 10 minutes you're good, and then like 15 minutes like who? Well, when they put like an EP out like 10 minutes ago, it's like they forget, and that's so crazy nowadays.
Yeah, I know it, man. I try not to worry about reviews or anything, but I did read a review from someone who they feel like, yeah, it's been 5 years. And, I just assumed they quietly bowed out. I thought this wasn't a band anymore. And then they come out with this record. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
But, especially in the States, I think you really do need to be constantly, poking somebody, being like, hey, we're still a thing, So taking a 5-year hiatus is not a great idea. But, that's how it works, so that's okay.
And just, add to your point, it goes to show you how back in the 80s and early 90s, that was fine. Nowadays, it's not. It just shows you how much things have changed in that length of time.
Yeah, people's attention span is shorter than ever before.
Mm-hmm. What's impressed you guys or excited you the most about making the new album, if anything? What sticks out the most possibly for you?
I was real excited about this record because as we were doing, going through the song writing, I think we're getting older, so sometimes us agreeing on a riff or the direction it should go, it can be a little tougher because we're maybe getting more set in our ways. But I was excited that that there were some kind of left field things that that we were all still. It's like, fuck it, let's give it a shot. I think the Days Collide is a song that I don't think we would have tried to do 3-4 years ago because it has so much space and we kind of like tight corners songwriting. So I think it's kind of like taking a family portrait. What do you do with your hands? It's like we always want to do something with our hands. So anyway, so that's exciting, and I think that the album we've kind of allowed ourselves to get out of whatever it is we do. But we've always prided ourselves on not being the kind of band that has a formula. We approach every song as its own thing. But we tried some new stuff, and that's exciting.
But the thing about Red Fang that I like the most is every song's different. It's nothing like you don't hear the same song on all your CDs. That's what I like about it. I feel like you guys are so underrated that it's not right. Because, like I said, your guys' music is so diverse and it's so good, man.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I mean, I think that's something that it seems to be the case with a lot of bands where they kind of figure out a song or a sound that works, and then they just work within that realm. And that can be great. I'm not denigrating AC/DC at all, but those guys, they figured out a sound, and and thank God they did, because I love AC/DC. But I just can't see myself, doing that sort of, I mean, it makes sense if, someone's like, I want to hear the new AC/DC album. They know exactly what they're getting. I mean, it'll be, there'll be different hooks and stuff, but they know it'll be stellar and it's going to sound like AC/DC. Where buying a Red Fang record, you're not exactly sure, if you're getting egg salad or a bologna sandwich. You really don't know. So that can be good or bad. If someone commits to that brown paper bag of food and they like it, then that's great.
Any tracks, Bryan, standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know it must change every time you listen to it. I know these are your babies, but do you have any that stick out for you possibly?
Well, I think Why is a really standout. It's real catchy. It's interesting guitar work. I think as well. It's interesting to me. I mentioned Days Collide. I think that's, like I said, I think that's sort of a new style that we tried out, and I think that worked, and so I'm proud of that one. And Funeral Coach is the final song on the record. I'm real proud of that became a thing. Aaron worked that song out, essentially. But the opening riff was a riff that I came up with in probably 2006. And we tried it out in 3 or 4 different songs, and we just loved that riff so much, but we just could never find a home for it. So I'm real proud that riff finally has a home, and I think it works. I mean, it's a nice setup for the meter of the thing. It's in an odd time signature, and it sets up the time signature real well.
Was there a song that you guys were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to when it was brought to the table? Was there a song that maybe took a 180-degree turn, maybe?
Well, I think Funeral Coach, I think Aaron had some, he demoed it, and I think he was saying, well, that's supposed to be like the rockin' part, but it wasn't. So I think sometimes, when we all get our hands on something, it just sort of takes on a life of its own. On this album, I feel like there was no real surprises. I mean, on previous albums, there were like Voices of the Dead. I thought that song it's on Whales and Leeches, and that song I just thought was a total failure from a songwriting point of view. I was like, what is this mess and what are we doing? And that feeling sort of persisted. I mean, the thing is, I trust my bandmates, so I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing, and I did. I stuck with it, even though it just didn't make any sense to me until Aaron laid down vocals on it in the studio, and then listening to him lay the tracks down. I was like, the light bulb. Apparently, the light bulb had been on his head for quite a while. It took a while to turn mine on, but I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, it's a cool song. For a good 6 months, I was, coming up with parts, just sort of Tetrising things, going, oh, I like that for me, but I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening in this song. I couldn't see the forest for the trees, and so that happens sometimes. But this album, we were pretty prepared when we went to the studio, so I knew what we were going to serve up.
Arrows was directed by Whitey McConaughey. How
maybe
fun.
it is. Hey, I don't know. Whatever, go ahead.
How fun was making this video?
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, we got to kill shit with a sword. Anytime Whitey comes with an idea, it's always, we get together with some beers and he tells us the idea. And, the ideas that come to fruition are always the ones that bust us up laughing. We're like, oh my God, that's great. Started with Prehistoric Dog, and I just thought, man, if he makes this video half as good as what he's talking about, it's going to be terrific. And, really, I was just crying, laughing. I thought it was such a great idea, and we, all riffing on it. And so that, or that video is sort of a part two to the Wires video where he got to kill stuff in the car.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like killing stuff in the car? Car, sword, whatever. He kind of cut his teeth with the Jackass crew. He did a lot of the shooting for the Jackass TV program. So he's familiar with putting people in dangerous situations. And so he wasn't afraid of us getting hurt at all. Or that wasn't a consideration, really. He's just like, yeah, you go do that. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Arrows was recorded at Halfling Studios in your guys' hometown of Portland, Oregon, with longtime collaborator Chris Funk, which he was a producer of Murder the Mountains and 2013's Whales and Leeches. Let's talk about that. How was working with him, or is it just a comfort thing to work with him, and does he always get something out of you guys that maybe somebody else might not get?
Well, the first time we worked with him was on Murder the Mountains, and Aaron knew him through mutual friends of he and his ex-wife, and anyway, they had been on friendly terms for a while, but it was kind of a cold email. He just sort of asked us in like 2009 or 2010. He's like, I'm trying to get into producing. Do you guys need a producer for your next album? And I just thought that was hilarious. Not because, it's Chris Funk, who, notably is from the Decemberists, but more so because I didn't know what a producer did, and that just seemed ridiculous. I'm like, what is that? Some guy in a suit with a cigar that says, more cowbell. I really didn't know what a producer did. So I was like, well, that's just ridiculous. How much does a producer cost? Anyway, so we're like, well, there's no harm in meeting with him. So we went and had coffee with him, and anyway, it turns out that, he's sort of, Decemberists is sort of a laid back sort of folk band. That's probably a lazy description, but, anyway, it just doesn't really seem to jive with what we're doing. But the thing, when we sat down with him, he's very knowledgeable about, hard rock and metal and underground hard rock and metal. So it's not as though this was some kind of alien landscape for him. And he's also an incredibly good metal guitar player. There's no real reason for him to do like crazy hammer-on solos, in the Decemberists, but he can do it. If they ever decide to do a metal album, they're just fine with him on the crew. Any case, so once we started working with him, I just enjoy. He's got a laid-back attitude in studio, and I enjoy working with him. And mostly, I really enjoy his aesthetic as far as the incidentals, the overall mood of those first Murder the Mountains and Whales and Leeches. I think that they have an ambience to them that I don't think we get elsewhere, and so I like that. It's he makes a haunted house more haunted. So anyway, our previous album we recorded in California, and we lived down there for a month and a half, but we just couldn't do that. We've got kids and families, and so it just wasn't realistic to go have a long time away from home. So anyway, he was available and was interested in doing it, so I was real happy that he was. I think it turned out cool.
Now, Ryan Landau did the artwork for the album. Let's talk about that. How was working with him on this art cover?
Oh, he's so easy to work with. We just kind of throw him, vague ideas of what we're shooting for, and he generally, comes back to us with something that is 95% fantastic, and then we do our little tweaks, things that this or that maybe we would prefer. But other than that, he's just a very accomplished artist. I think he's done something like 400 album covers. It's kind of crazy. He's a factory over there. And but you don't feel like you're just a number. He really does. He does care, and he spends a lot of energy on it. And I think this new album is, well, there's no mistaking it. You're flipping through. You're not going to miss it. So that's good.
Big, bright, neon green. It's awesome.
Yeah, it sticks out.
In your own opinion, man, what do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of Red Fang's music in general?
Hopefully they're like, well, now my day's slightly better. That's what I'm hoping. We're not doing some kind of great work for humanity or anything, but I guess if it would be nice to feel like what we do actually does make the world a better place in some small way. Someone's had a crap day at work and they put on our album on the way home or whatever, and maybe, gives them a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of optimism, then I've done my job.
Now, I know with all these albums in your library for Red Fang, are there any songs that you like to incorporate into a live set that maybe not has been in a live set, maybe, possibly?
There's a song, Every Little Twist, it's a little pet song of mine. And that song, I don't know if we maybe have played it live once or twice. I would love to bring that one back. And we can now. We're going on tour. It's exciting. And there's songs like there's a song off of Whales and Leeches, This Animal, and we've never played that song even in rehearsal the way it is on that record. I mean, we basically did some digital editing to kind of, lengthen a verse and shorten the chorus or vice versa, But it's kind of crazy. You're listening to that song, you're like, I'm not sure how I would approach doing that. It's sort of, you have to, once you're done with the studio, sometimes you do have to learn your own record, and so we're in the process of doing that with Arrows now, just, especially some of the songs like Fonzie Scheme has, string section, and clearly we don't have the budget or room in the van for a string section. So, we have to get creative and say, well, how do we convey the mood of that without actually having strings? And, I think it's gross to use samples. I mean, just for me, whatever, people can do that all they want, but just for me, I want a live show to be only things that we can do as four human beings. So you got to get creative, and it's fun. It's kind of like writing the songs again.
The Arthur Fonzarelli song, A.
That's right. Also in the key of A.
I know when you were growing up, and plus even to today, you've had a lot of music that you listen to, a lot of albums. But Bryan, did you have that one go-to album, or maybe just a couple of go-to albums that you had to listen to like every few weeks, or go away from it for a while, but you keep coming back to that album?
Yeah, I would say Bridge Over Troubled Water is a record that really matters to me. Stardust by Willie Nelson, I think that's just a really it's a cover of old jazz standards, and I think that is just a phenomenal record. Jesus Christ Superstar, I have a couple of versions of that on vinyl, and I think that is just probably one of the best musicals ever. I love that so much. As far as like hard rock stuff, Metallica, Ride the Lightning, and Van Halen, Fair Warning are probably my two top hard rock records.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Red Fang's new album, Arrows, which is out now via Relapse Records, and you will not be disappointed in this band. And I got to say, I like what they bring to the table. So, Bryan, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy this new album, or just to say hello? How can they do that?
To say hello, we're terrible at the social media. But you can probably direct message us on Instagram. I know we can actually access that. Our Facebook has been we've been denied any kind of interaction with our Facebook page for years, and we keep trying to get in there, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think it's because our label changed hands. I don't know how much that has to do with it, but it's just over, different staff members and stuff, and just we can't administrate it. So if you DM us on Facebook, it'll probably never get to us. So that's how you don't get a hold of us. But like I say, Instagram, I do check that. So you want to reply sometime the next month or two, DM us on Instagram.
Hey, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Oh, sure. Hey, this is Bryan Giles from Red Fang, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. Please get out, check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link, and guys and gals, you want to subscribe to our YouTube link because we got a lot of stuff coming up. We've got tickets giveaway, shirts, posters, all kinds of stuff. And you definitely want to get out and check out Red Fang. If you have not gotten to yet, you won't be disappointed. Pick up Arrows, their new album. Bryan, man, as a fan of Red Fang, I like your guys' music and have been a fan for a very long time. So kudos to you guys, man.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.